welcome back to episode 2 of Jada May Today. So, black people don't get the coronavirus, right? No, but for real, that when the coronavirus first started happening, that was the main thing that I kept seeing get spread all over social media, that black people cannot get the coronavirus. And we all know right now that is not the case. Black people can, in fact, get the coronavirus. And actually now, black people are the leading in the coronavirus deaths. So how ironic is that now, right? But I believe that part of the reason why the death toll is so high in the black community is because of that rumor that black people cannot get the coronavirus. I feel that rumor made people think that they could still go out and do what they wanted to do, not take the extra precautions needed to not get the COVID-19. So I'm not saying that is the main thing, but that is definitely a good factor in why so many black people have got the coronavirus at this time. Right now in Chicago, about 70% of the black people in Chicago have died or make up the coronavirus deaths. And only 30% of Chicago's population is black people. But 70% of the COVID deaths are black people. That's crazy. Like, how does that happen? But I am sure you guys might know that there are other reasons to why this might be, because of racism and other disparities in the health community. I was actually scrolling on Facebook as usual. I was on Facebook and I came across a CNN video. They were interviewing Magic Johnson about the coronavirus, and he was actually saying that he also agrees that the rumor of black people can't get the coronavirus was just misleading, and also added on to why there's so many black deaths. And then they went on into detail about Magic Johnson's past when it comes to AIDS.
It's similar to what happened with HIV and AIDS. When I announced, people were wrong because blacks thought that they couldn't get HIV and AIDS. It's the same thing as the coronavirus. It reminds me going back 30 years. And we were all wrong. And the numbers is switched from a white gay man's disease to a minority disease.
That's crazy how the AIDS epidemic and the coronavirus have very similar stories when it comes to the black community. And it's so sad. And I feel like that gives a lot of more ammo to be racist and discriminating against the black community. And we have already seen this from China, actually. So there have been reports by the Los Angeles Times and other news sources about a town in China called, I definitely not going to pronounce this right. It's called Guangzhou. So there's like these images of displaced Africans in Guangzhou, China, and on April 7th, and they're not able to find any hotels. They have been evicted from their rented apartments. China has just been harassing them and targeting black people for the coronavirus, and I find that very, very ironic, since it's started in China. Like, everyone knows that now. It started in China, so why are you blaming Africans for the spread of the coronavirus? That makes absolutely no sense. So here's a little piece from the Los Angeles Times. It said, evictions from homes and apartments started when Guangzhou authorities announced that 5 Nigerians had tested positive for COVID-19. Within days, a campaign was launched to test and track all Africans in the port city. Of course, the authorities believe they are doing what is right to protect and help prevent any more coronavirus from spreading, but it's the fact of the matter that they are targeting people based on their race than their actual contact history with the coronavirus. I know some of you guys probably have maybe went to the hospitals, and when you walk in they ask you, have you been in contact with anybody with the coronavirus in the past couple months? Have you had a fever or cough? And you say yes or no, and then you're free to go. They're not targeted on race. There are specific questions put in place to see if you are in fact involved with the coronavirus, not based on what you look like. So after the Africans were evicted from their homes in China, they were basically on the streets with their suitcases, just walking the streets, have nowhere to be, have nowhere to go, which can also target them as being a criminal for just hanging around on the streets, but it's not their fault because they cannot get a place to stay because of the fact that they're being targeted, that they might have coronavirus. And no questions are being asked. They're not getting the proper testing. No one's asking any questions. No, if you're black, you go. You can't be here. So I actually found this video of a person in China. They were trying to go to a restaurant, and there was a notice that they picked up, and they were passing it around the place, and the notice said, "We've been informed that from now on, black people are not allowed to enter the restaurant. For the sake of your health, notify the local police for medical isolation. Please understand the inconvenience caused." So what is there to understand? So the sign said, "Black people, sorry for the inconvenience this has caused." You mean for black people that you are targeting as the spreaders of the coronavirus that started in your country. That is not how the real world works. That logic is surpassing me right now. That's like you going over to somebody's house and they have roaches. Before you even got to their house, they already had a roach infestation. And then the next time you try to come over, they're like, "Oh no, you can't come in. Last time, we had a roach infestation. I don't want you bringing any roaches into my house." Like, what? Like, this is so ridiculous. And it always seems like black people get the short end of the stick of any situation that's inconvenient for everyone else. It's always, oh, the black person did it. And this situation with China kind of reminds me of the situation we had with Germany and the Holocaust, when Germany was blaming the Jewish community for their downfalls in World War I, when it was actually Germany and their own downfall. And so they blamed the Jewish people, which also caused World War II. It's easier to push the blame onto someone else, especially onto someone else who has always been pushed around. So I am not really surprised that this is happening to black people all over the world, and China specifically, and America. There is always something going wrong, always putting the blame on black people when there are other reasons for things to happen. I am also not shocked because colorism is a whole nother conversation, but also plays a part in every race. The lighter your skin, the more well off you probably will be. And that is sad to say, but it's true. And if you are the black person in China during the coronavirus time, you're the one who's going to get blamed for it spreading. But let's go back to America for a second. So when it comes to black people and the coronavirus, and according to Vox.com, I will link all of these links that I'm getting this information from in the description, so you know I'm not just pulling things out my butt, and you can understand where I'm coming from. But according to Vox.com, in Wisconsin, black people represent 6% of the population and nearly 40% of COVID-19 fatalities. In Louisiana, black people make up 32% of the state's population, but almost 60% of fatalities. And lastly, in Kansas, 6% of the population is black. 6%, right? And yet black people account for more than 30% of the COVID-19 deaths. This is like the saddest thing I have read. Like, black people need help. They needed help a long time ago. They needed help 400 years ago when this all started. And yes, I am talking about slavery of black people. And no, it was not such a long time ago. It's all about cause and effect. The cause, the 400 years of slavery, the effect, what's going on now in this world. And for the purposes of this episode, I'm talking about the disparities with the coronavirus deaths and being able to get medical attention, medical insurance, being able to get to the doctor's office, being able to take off work. But that is not always the case in poor black communities, or they do not have a choice but to go to work because their job is so strict that they cannot take off to go get the help they need. And according to the Daily News from Central State University, the factors include limited access to health care, living conditions, socioeconomic conditions, and chronic illnesses such as high blood pressure, hypertension, and lung disease and heart diseases. And a scientist that was interviewed by the Dayton Daily News also said about black people that, quote, some of that is genetic and familiar, but a lot of it has to do with not having access to good medical care. So yes, with all that, if you guys have been keeping up with the coronavirus, which I'm pretty much sure all of us have, if you have an underlying disease, that is when you're pretty much in trouble if you get coronavirus. Like, if you have an underlying disease, it is harder to recover from it, and you're more likely to die from the coronavirus. So that is why we are seeing this high death toll in the black community. And it's sad. Like, I am heartbroken about it when I read these statistics. And when you're in a poor community, you put your health last when it comes to your family. You have to provide. You have to go to work. You need the water on. You need the lights on. And health comes last. So I can see why there is all these health concerns when it comes to black people in those areas. With that being said, this is not new when it comes to the medical disparities among black people. Black women are actually 3 to 4 times more likely to die during or after childbirth. And as a black woman, when it's my time to have children, I am actually scared when it comes to this statistic. Why are black women 3 to 4 more times likely to die during childbirth in America, where we're supposed to have like the top-notch medical equipment, medical professionals in the world, and we still have women dying from childbirth? I got some facts for you guys from harvard.edu. Yes, the Harvard University website. The rate of the maternal mortality in the U.S. in 2014, 18 deaths per 100,000. But in 1987, it was only 7.2 deaths per 100,000. So it climbed. It doubled, more than doubled. And then the rate among black women is 40 deaths per 100,000 for black women. Only 17.8 of deaths per 100,000 in other races. And then when it comes to white women, only 12.4 deaths per 100,000. The site also said that more than half of the deaths in America relating to childbirth were preventable causes, and most of the women who are suffering are black women. If you go back to the Serena Williams case, when she had her baby, she was trying to get the doctors. She didn't feel right. She knew something was wrong with her body. She was listening to her body, but the doctors weren't really paying attention. And she was complaining about a blood clot, I believe. And when they finally checked it out, she actually did have something wrong with her. So imagine if they would have took longer time to get to that, she probably wouldn't be here right now. There have been plenty of other black mothers who are very much healthy and they almost die from childbirth, and I don't see why that is a thing in America when we have the tools necessary to have many women survive and be healthy after childbirth. That should not be a thing in America in 2020 whatsoever. And it is very sad because there are a lot of other stories from mothers saying, or mothers who can't be here right now, who have passed away because doctors or nurses would not listen to what their patient was saying, that something was wrong, something's not feeling right. They wait so long to fix the problem. By the time they get to it, it's too late. And it was preventable. That's the saddest part of it all. This coronavirus epidemic, or I should say pandemic, has put to the forefront of the blatant racism and disparities among black and brown communities. And I would say it's a blessing in that sense, but it is sad that we still have to deal with all of this in 2020. Like, come on now. It should not be like this, but it shows how much we need to be prepared as a country when it comes to these type of things. We need our nurses. Respect your nurses. Respect the people on the front lines at the grocery stores, at the McDonald's, who are putting their lives at risk to serve you. A hurting community should not have to hurt anymore. A mother deserves to come home from the hospital with her newborn baby. A bus driver deserves to come home to his family or her family and not feel afraid to spread the coronavirus. If this coronavirus is not a wake-up call, I don't know what is. There's so much that we need to get done as a people in this society. A group of people should not be suffering from preventable diseases, preventable deaths in this country. We need to wake up right now. This is the time. Since we are sitting still, this is the time to think of some solutions that will work for us. We should not be seeing black people being 70% of the deaths in Chicago and only making up 30% of the population. We should not be seeing black people getting harassed when wearing a mask to protect themselves from getting sick. We are supposed to be wearing protective gear to save ourselves. But if we are getting harassed by police because we look like a criminal wearing a mask ready to rob somebody in a grocery store, apparently, then what is this for? And we should also not be seeing Africans being harassed and evicted in China, saying they are the ones spreading the coronavirus when it started in China to begin with. Black people are not the cause of the coronavirus. Black people are suffering from the coronavirus. And I saw this meme on Facebook, of course, and it's the one that goes, "What COVID-19 taught you so far," basically. And a person commented, "America is a third world country wearing a Gucci belt." And to be honest, I couldn't find anything more accurate than this meme. Like, America puts band-aids. Instead of solution, America puts band-aids on a lot of situations. And this coronavirus should not be one of those times where we put a band-aid on it. But I am happy to say that I have seen some resilience when it comes to the black and brown communities on social media. I have seen a video that I will play the audio for you of Colin Kaepernick supporting the black and brown communities. It was a tweet he posted on April 16th, and he said, "Structural racism makes black and brown people more likely to die from COVID-19. We've launched the Know Your Rights Camp COVID-19 Relief Fund to directly impact the effect of the coronavirus is having on our communities. #WeGotUs. Donate at knowyourrightscamp.com/COVID-19.
Black and brown communities are being disproportionately devastated by COVID-19 because of hundreds of years of structural racism.
There's been a misinformation that Black people can't get the virus.
Poorer areas, which are mostly Black and brown, have the heaviest number of patients that have been affected.
Bus drivers are on the front lines of this pandemic every day.
We out here doing our job.
After he made that video, Hargrove began to feel sick himself. He died Wednesday night.
If you do not have to be out, do not.
Health inequities are because we've had policies that devalue groups of people.
Look at the hospital. They're putting bodies in the back of a freezer truck, y'all.
These communities are going to be devastated by COVID-19.
That's why we've established the Know Your Rights Camp COVID-19 Relief Fund to help address these issues. Go to knowyourrightscamp.com/COVID-19 to help.
I am so happy that Colin Kaepernick is doing this because it's such a huge deal, and Black and brown communities need somebody to fight for them. And I support this 100%. And I will also be linking that website in the description below, and every single thing that I have mentioned will also be in the description below, so you can check that out for yourself. Remember that Black and brown communities are more likely to suffer and die from the coronavirus. And make sure you spread awareness that everyone should try to stay at home as much as possible and wear masks. I know a lot of people have been making their own, and that is perfectly fine because there have been a shortage. So if you know someone who doesn't have one, and you have some extra, maybe, loan them some. I have been around like at Walmart to get groceries, and people will stop me saying, where did you get your mask from? I'm like, oh, I got it from a friend, and it's sad to me that not everyone has the opportunity to protect themselves from this, and that is very unfortunate. So if you have any resources for someone who doesn't have access to materials for a mask to when they go out to the store and when they get groceries, it's important to have something to protect yourself. Even though you're 6 feet apart, you're still in a store full of people, and it's just for an extra safety precaution. And everyone deserves to be protected and safe at this time, especially if they did not have the resources to begin with or didn't have the opportunity to get the resources that they need. I was going to say that everyone deserves equality, but when I look it up between the definition between equity and equality, there's a difference. So I wanted to read that to you. Equity is giving everyone what they need to be successful. Equality is treating everyone the same. Equality aims to promote fairness, but it can only work if everyone starts from the same place and needs the same help. If someone has the head start in a race, but you get the same amount of time to finish the race, who is going to win? The person who had a head start or the person who is back at the starting line? And thank you everyone for tuning in to episode 2 of Jada Made Today. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure you leave me some comments about any topics for future episodes. I am happy to take any suggestions, to be honest. This is something I love to do. And you guys have a nice day or night or morning or whatever time you're listening to this. This is Jada Made Today, and stay tuned for episode 3.